This might be a little late, but I watched the new My Hero Academia movie, World Heroes Mission, and it was pretty good. And I want to start with my background on the series. I'm not a die-hard fan, and I started watching around when Season 3 started airing. Stopped somewhere in the middle of Season 4, and then binge-watched the rest of it right before this movie came out. So, I've got mixed feelings on it already. I think the highs are extremely well done, and the lows are devastatingly boring. It's a show that can't really maintain a middle ground. It's sad, but sometimes the slow parts of My Hero Academia make me almost want to give up watching it. Oh, but don't get me wrong, it's still good though. I mean, don't get it confused, community. I know how bad you can be to creators that hate the show. But when you get to the movies, it's more of a solid take. They're all generally pretty good. I watched the movie subbed in an XD room with a medium-sized crowd. They give out these, so that's a little bit of a bonus. But I have no clue if this experience greatly affected to what I have to say about this movie's greatest strength, which has to be that it's the most cinematic My Hero Academia has ever been. I say that in comparison to the other movies in the My Hero franchise. It's kind of like Pokemon. If you've seen Pokemon, then you've at least seen one of the movies, and then you kind of get the gist of it. They go to a separate place, do something that's not connected to the story at all, and then once it's all done, they come back and they never talk about it again. It feels like it's just one big OVA special event that's nothing special. Something that was made to be aired on TV. Yeah, this movie had none of that. From the opening shots, you know that this has a completely different tone. It looks darker and it's shot completely different. The story might seem like something that could have been shown in the main series, but the visuals make it stand out way too much. With how the background characters were even rendered, I was confused to what I was even watching, if it was even part of the My Hero universe. But generally, the visuals were fantastic. I say generally, because there was at least a few moments that looked absolutely garbage. Let's just say it's a battle that takes place in a canyon, and it looks as though it's going at about 10 frames a second. It's very jittery, and you can see that there was at least an attempt to make something exciting, but it just comes off looking bad. That's literally my one qualm with the entire visuals. Like, the ending battle was fantastic and well done as ever. You know what to expect if you've seen at least one of the movies. It's got the same plot progression, so that means when you get to that scene, oh, it looks as though it's the final fight scene. Bakugo's fight scenes were better than Todoroki's. I mean, to be honest, with Todoroki, I almost forgot what he was doing for a good 30 minutes until we got back to it, and I was like, oh, he's still doing that? Okay. On the story side, you probably couldn't get more generic if you wanted to, but it fits. If you want a tearjerker or something that just completely changes your ideology, then you're just looking at the wrong series altogether. What you're gonna get here is more of the same old, same old. Kids trying to be heroes. What caught my attention in the story department was how the marketing focused on Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, but then what we got was a story more focused on the new character, Rudy Soul, which isn't half bad if I have to say. The show doesn't really have a swindler type, so they were able to add him and let us see how the characters would interact with him. How would these morally righteous characters interact with someone that grew up on the streets? Kind of situation. And there's a few scenes in this movie that made me go, wow, the fandom's definitely gonna go crazy with that. I mean, I can just tell. And everyone in Class A, for the exception of the trio, felt like a glorified cameo. I would have loved to see more All Might and more Eraserhead, but for the story, it really doesn't make sense. You get the sense that this is a world mission just by the title alone, but you don't really get that sense just by watching it. You see some landmarks here and there that some specific heroes are going to, and there's some heroes' quirks which are specifically tied to the culture, but you don't really spend enough time over there in the other countries to actually care about what they're doing. The movie strongly focuses on the central location of Otheon, because there's a lot of story significance there. The villain's basic, his motivations are pretty good though. It's something that's not even mentioned in the show. Something about quirkless humans hating humans with quirks. It's a premise that makes you think, why haven't they done that before? It works so nice and it seems like it'd be built upon more in this series. But using it in a movie is also gonna be fun. And like mentioned before, none of this connects to the main series, so if you were looking for any type of character growth, it's not here. But at least it's not something as bad as in Heroes Rising. That's just kind of excused as, he forgot. It's definitely a movie where you need to go in with the context. If you haven't seen the show, don't even think about watching this. You'll probably be confused and you wouldn't know almost anything that was going on. You'd probably think, who are these other heroes? Why are these kids even here? And how did they even get to this level? But if you're a fan, then you already know what to expect. It might look slightly different, but it's still My Hero Academia. And I, for the most part, like My Hero Academia. Also, by the way, those black suits that were heavily marketed and everything didn't even show up for more than about 5 minutes. They go back to their normal costumes instantly. guess they were only there because they needed a little boost in the figure department. If I was to place these movies in relation to each other, I would say the first one has the best story, the second one has the best fight sequences, and the third looks the most cinematic. It's probably the only thing that it's got going for it, but I'd probably place it last in the trilogy of movies so far. So I give it what I give the rest of the shows and movies in this franchise, a solid 7. Exactly what I was expecting and lived up to it perfectly. See you next time when I review whatever that comes next.